You are listening to the People Centric Podcast, where we talk through the toughest challenges that people face at work and give practical advice to fixing those challenges. Thanks for joining our movement to create workplaces that are happier, healthier, aligned, and empowered by putting people at the center of all that we do. Hello, people-centric leaders. Welcome. It's Bethany Taff. I'm here. And I have Philip Herzog here, and I have Diana Royalty here, and we have an exciting topic for you. You all have probably heard these terms being thrown out a lot. Quiet quitting, I feel like that was kind of the first one that was shared. People talk about this idea of quiet quitting and quiet firing now we're hearing, and quiet cracking and quiet vacations. And some of our question is like, why are people being so quiet? What is this? What is this about? So we kind of want to uncover this. So to kind of open this up, I wanted to I'll give some definitions for these, and then we can kind of jump in and talk through them a little bit more and kind of start to uncover, what is this? Why is this happening? Where is this coming from? Why are we being so quiet? And maybe what is the larger question at hand here? So if you don't know this idea of quiet quitting, maybe you've heard of it, but you don't really know what does that actually mean. If you Google these things, these are very technical definitions. Quiet quitting is the act of doing only the required duties of a job rather than going above and beyond to achieve better work-life balance and separate one's personal worth from their labor. It's a rejection of hustle culture and an expression of employee dissatisfaction, sometimes stemming from burnout or feeling unappreciated, though it does not involve actually leaving the job. So we would actually probably recategorize that, retitle that as just being disengaged in your work in general. But quiet cracking is another one that we've heard, describes the phenomenon of an employee's gradual mental and emotional decline at work, characterized by persistent unhappiness, disengagement, and a reduced desire to quit despite still fulfilling basic job duties. So it's a little bit more focused on burnout specifically, just like quietly burning out. We've heard also about this idea of quiet vacations. A quiet vacation can refer to two different things. It's a workplace trend where an employee works remotely from a different location without formally notifying their employer, or a literal vacation in a peaceful, secluded location to unwind and escape daily noise and busyness. Most of what we're talking about, I think, and we've heard it, is more of the first, where people are not actually taking vacations, but they're just working in a remote place and not really telling anybody. And then there's this other one that we heard called quiet firing, which is a deliberate strategy where an employer creates an unappealing or unsupportive work environment to pressure an employee into resigning rather than being formally terminated. And so these are just some of the terms that we've heard lately. And wanted to talk through a little bit about, where is this coming from? What do we do about this? Is this a healthy way to respond to these situations? And especially when we talk about hustle culture and this idea, is this just a response of pushing back on hustle culture? So I'm going to introduce our other two hosts here, Diana Royalty, Philip Herzog. Does anyone want to go first? What's your initial reactions? Go ahead, Philip. Welcome to the show.
Oh, can you hear me? I'm
Oh,
being
no, I can hear you.
quiet right now. Yeah, I was thinking, you say all these things, and I was like, it's a lot of quiet actions
Mm.
that have some pretty loud impacts. I was also just looking up, 2025 Gallup data says that there's a 10-year low in the US workforce engagement. So this is the lowest amount of engagement the workforce has had in 10 years. And in 2024, they estimate $438 billion with a B lost profit due to low engagement. So that was just last year. So this year we'll probably lose more. And I am excited about this topic because, as we were talking, like, why is everyone so quiet? What goes into that? a lot of different examples. And I think Diana had a story that also exemplifies it, but I'll let her introduce herself quietly.
I'm not as quiet as Philip. Philip's so good at being quiet. Yeah, we were talking through all of these, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, I saw quiet vacationing on my last vacation. I was in Mexico a couple weeks ago, and there was a guy at the pool in a at a resort in Mexico who had a polo shirt on top, right? He was like polo dressed up, nice looking, and then like swim trunks on the bottom. And he had his computer and he like positioned it by the pool so that no one was going to walk behind him or behind the camera. And he brought with him like a styrofoam like it sort of looked like a science fair board, the like three-sided sort of foam core board that he just like tucked behind him so that no one could see the palm trees or the resort or whatever behind. And so I saw this and I was like, that dude is 1,000% working on his vacation, right? And I was like, he didn't tell HR he was going on vacation. Nobody knows. He is just doing the things he has to do with this foam core behind him, pretending to be somewhere else, or he was somewhere else, not even pretending to be. Um, and I just thought, like, I sat there and I was like, man, first of all, what happened so that he felt the need to have to do that? Is this like he ran out of PTO and still wanted to go? Or is this like my employer doesn't want us to take vacations and I don't feel like I can? And so I'm just going to take a vacation and not tell anyone. And then also, what kind of vacation is that? That just still feels like work when it's hot by a pool. I don't know. It didn't feel like a vacation. It just doesn't. Feels not great. It doesn't feel like work and it doesn't feel like vacation. I don't know. There's no good things that come out of that.
Yeah, like, is that really, I guess if that's your only, is that your only option? Is you like couldn't, you
I,
couldn't
I
have,
wanted to ask, but he was clearly busy.
he was on Zoom calls and
He
team.
was working.
The best part of that story is the particle board, which he brought with him and packed. That's where you're like, it's not someone who got busy on the trip and had something
No,
come up.
no.
This is premeditated.
Bro planned this and packed a like 24 by 18 poster board. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that takes some intentionality.
it was intentional. Yeah.
That's so funny. And also really sad, isn't it?
It
It's like a
is. It is
sad, it's so
sad.
sad that that's how you had to experience your vacation. Not you, Diana, this
No,
guy.
I had a lovely vacation. I did not work. So
Yeah, you put it on your calendar. We
I
knew
had it
you
on my
were.
calendar. Everyone knew I was going to be gone. I took PTO. It was great.
I don't think we bothered you, did we? But we didn't even, we didn't.
No, no one bothered me. No, Don forgot that I was on vacation and he texted me a few times and then he was like, oh my gosh, you're on vacation. And I was like, it's okay. Like,
I'm
um,
so sorry. So-
but he had forgotten. But no, like no one maliciously was like, you better do your work.
That's right. Yeah. So, and if for those of you who don't know, we actually have like a, how do you phrase our time off policy, Diana?
Open paid time off.
Open paid time off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which essentially is it's not unlimited, right? There is a limit. You can't
Yeah.
just like take it, but we don't track it. We don't give you hours. We don't, it's just sort of like a if you need time, take time. And as long as you're getting your work done and everybody is feeling okay that you're not shirking all your responsibilities to other people and we all know what's happening, then we're good. Take the time you need to take.
Yeah. Yeah, which is very different than a lot of places, which I think is maybe why some people are falling into this a little bit too. And I get it. It's hard. So we're not saying we're not taking a hard stance on
No.
everybody have this policy necessarily, because we understand the complexities of there's larger companies, right? And it's harder to be able to manage that effectively, the more employees that you have and things like that.
And
Um,
shifts and healthcare workers like you can't do that stuff in a lot of industries. We're fortunate that we can.
Yeah, for sure. So, but there are some environments though that maybe could do that don't, or maybe make it really hard for people to take time off, and that's where I think maybe people fall into this sort of trap of whatever this quiet vacationing that we see too. And then
Yeah.
yeah, right. Um, yeah, and then like the quiet quitting and the quiet burnout, I think is really it's really sad also that people are doing this. Like we said when we kind of opened it up, is that really quiet quitting, I think we would talk about that as like really that's just like choosing to be disengaged in your work. And again, if you kind of look at that a little bit closer, is like what part of the definition was like a rejection of hustle culture, which when we all kind of talked about that, we're like, man, we want to also reject hustle culture. We don't love that, the idea of that, but is quiet quitting as effective as you think it might be? Is it accomplishing the thing that you want it to? Is it actually giving you the flexibility and space and fulfillment in the things that you have to do every day? Or is it kind of continuing to like create this dissatisfaction in your work? And is it going to help your mental health in the long term and help you have overall like happiness in your life too? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, when we were talking about it, I was like, man, I love parts of quiet quitting. I love that it's the rejection of that hustle culture, the saying, I'm gonna do my work and then I'm gonna put it away. The like not tying your value directly to your job. All of those things I really like. Uh, but it's the like quiet disengagement, the unhappy fulfillment. Like I think you can convince yourself that you're going to go in and just do this one little thing and then be done. But I think that just breeds like dissatisfaction. I think most people are wired to do a job that's meaningful, that means something to them, that fulfills them in some way. And people want to go to work and be happy at work and like enjoy what they do. And so if you're just diminishing yourself to this, I'm just going to go in and do exactly what they tell me and then I'm going to leave and I'm going to, not think about it. I don't think that leads to genuine fulfillment, like you were saying, Bethany.
Mm. I was thinking, success looks different from different angles. And so I think a lot of people, when they get to the angle of, you can't do it anymore because of a disability, or you retire, or you can't do the exact same thing because you change organizations. That doesn't mean you didn't succeed before. But I do think it puts that success in different perspective. And so I love how Diana put it, because when you leave the job, the best days you had, all the amazing things you've done, um, probably aren't remembered that long. And so I think quiet quitting, in a sense, right, is like a response to even if you live in a way where work is your life, as soon as that work is not a part of your life, work does not remember you. Most of the time, work does not send you that card. They definitely stop paying you. But it's the relationships that change too. They can change that way. And it takes more intentionality to maintain connections and relationships, right, that go beyond that W-2 adjustment. So I
Mm.
love that quiet quitting, the way it was worded too, a part of the Gallup study that just popped up. A part of the reason they say that it's at a 10-year low engagement is that a lot of employees feel less cared for and less aware of
Mm.
job expectations, which I think is a really powerful way to say, yes, I will not be as engaged because I don't even know what I'm supposed to do around here. And then when I do the darn thing you asked me to do, you don't even thank me for it. How ridiculous is this? And I would say
Mm.
most of the engagement surveys we've done for clients this year, that's been a theme across the board. A lot of employees have raised their hands to say, we do not feel celebrated, or we want better positive feedback. Not a taco truck necessarily, and not all of them know the answer of what that is. Our own team has had that conversation. So I think that's another piece of this as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love there was another movie scene that went through my head. Maybe it was a TV show, but there was some person was complaining to their boss like, "You don't even thank me for what I do." And the boss was like, "That's what the money is for. Like I pay you to do the work, right? That's my thank you." But I think that in work currently, we are connected all the time. We have 1,500 ways that people can get a hold of us. We are producing more than ever, with emails and meetings and Slacks and all of that stuff. Like there's just a lot of noise and there's a lot of expectation, and a lot of it is not clear. A lot of it is not prioritized. A lot of it is not thanked or valued. Like when I respond to someone on Teams, no one's going to be like, good job responding, right? Like, but it's still a part of my job that no one recognizes or values. Actually, you guys do that. You guys are like, respond so quickly. If so, thank you. But most people don't do, right? It's not like a thing that's in a job description that says like, respond to Teams messages in a timely manner. And maybe it does say that, but you're never thanked for that. So I just feel like a lot of our work has gotten very big, kind of connected all of the time and devalued. And so I think that's when people start to say, I'm just going to do what you tell me to do and stop doing the rest of it because it's too much. I'm too connected all the time and I'm not valued.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm tired and no one cares, right? So I love that you connected it to the like disengagement is quiet quitting and we are disengaged because our employers they don't care for us as humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we do see that a lot. And so, I mean, I think as we were talking about it just in preparation for recording this, it led us to this question of like, what's the bigger like existential question here? Like, how do we solve this other than, we could go and say like, don't be so quiet about all these things. Like, you need to go have conversations about them. That's going to be more effective in the long run, hopefully, for you in your career or for the organization or whatever it may be. But I mean, I think the bigger question because we all latched onto this like rejection of hustle culture, and we were like, okay, yeah, we can get behind that. And again, like Philip said, we've had those conversations internally too. So I think the question that we have from here is like, how do we reject a hustle culture in a healthy way? Without just sort of quietly disengaging or quietly burning out or feeling like we have to go on quiet vacations, but still make sure that we're, prioritizing the right things in our lives, without having to fully like disengage from the work that's put in front of us.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? I think we talked around it for a long time and still we're like, we don't have all the answers, right? There's no one thing. And I think the biggest thing you can do is find work that is valuable to you, right? Like be committed to the mission and that internalizes things for you and that will make it feel better. Um, and then make sure you do draw whatever boundaries are healthy for you. We all talk about our different boundaries. I think I said on this earlier that I was on vacation last week, and while the team was very respectful and didn't ask for much, I still went on Teams every day, and I still checked my email every day. And I think that that's a healthy balance for me. I don't expect everybody to do that. I do it because I don't want to come back to 500 emails and 500 messages. That stresses me out. So if I can take 5 minutes a day and catch up, I feel good about that. But I know that like Bethany and Stephanie, they unplug completely. They don't want notifications. They don't want emails. They like do not look at it. And I'm fine with that too. So I think it's the draw good boundaries for you that feel healthy for you. And stick to them, stick to those things. And like show your employer that that's what you're going to do. Ashley's going on vacation next week and she just sent us a message and was like, I'm going to turn off all my notifications, but if you need something, you can text me. She was very clear, like, I'm doing this. Here's my boundary. And I think that's a really healthy way to go about it, to say, I'm disconnecting from this thing and I'm rejecting the work and the hustle culture, but I'm still very engaged in what I'm doing and I still love my job.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I love that. This spring, my wife and I, we went on a trip to Florida, and it was the cliche, like, do nothing trip. We had never done this before. So I bought a few books specific to help. It was just very much like, oh, this is the thing we're choosing to do. So I'll really lean into it. So all the books I brought, relationship and happiness and whatever. But one of my favorite books I read was by Arthur Brooks. And in it, there's this funny quote. I think he starts quoting Anna Karenina throughout the book. And the very first lines of Anna Karenina are, all happy families are the same, but all unhappy families are unhappy in their own way. essentially. I mean, that's kind of so true of teams. And I think the point of it is there's no such thing as the perfect team. So especially when people are like, oh, you really can get wrapped up in the things that are not working well, that cause dissatisfaction. And it's like, yeah, and you're also probably not the only ones. So I respect how he brought this out, but he has these principles that I think have been helpful for me framing this year is when I support our clients or when we do other things, of course, talking about alignment and empowerment, but other ways I think to help you as a person beyond just the workplace. Arthur Brooks' book speaks to basically the three things: enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. And if you aren't getting those at work, then where are you getting them from? If you're
Mhm.
not getting them at work and somewhere else, you are probably going to languish and it won't feel quiet at all, right? It's like this roaring sound when you wake up in the morning. And I met someone this week who just candidly was wearing different clothes than normal for a coaching conversation. I think they're really going through it. They're trying to find. So instead of wearing their gray colors, it was like bright pastels. So when I just started talking with this person, I said, like, hey, things are clearly different. What's going on here? And for this person, in all parts of life, I don't know if they would rate high enjoyment or satisfaction or purpose anywhere. And that is really frustrating. And so it's not the cliche thing of like, go serve just for 10 minutes or go walk. But I do think that's a part of it too. Like, if at home you can't do these things, go walk for 10 minutes and go volunteer and serve somewhere. But in the bigger place, if you can't have enjoyment at work, then why are you there? And if you can't find satisfaction, not 100% of the time, but for you and Diane, I love your example of if on a trip satisfaction is like an hour and a half of emails, then that's great. If your threshold of enjoyment at work is 30% of the time you want to enjoy what you're doing and you only enjoy 5% of it, maybe it's not the work anymore. Maybe it's something else that you need to look at.
Yeah. What you're saying struck in me the like people centric idea of there are things that all people need as employees, as humans, and those are purpose, community, autonomy, and development. And then there are things that organizations need. They need strategy, communication, product, process, and management, and people. And so, if a company can combine those two things and say, our people need this from us, they need purpose. So that's we're going to go do a really good strategic plan and have good mission and vision and values, then they're going to have purpose. Our people need community. So we're going to have good communication and solid teams and good direct lines to and from each other. They need autonomy. So we're going to have good processes where they can use their own brains and make those really great. And they need development. So we're going to have great management. So like if you can like blend the things that people need with the things that an organization needs, you have this really great place to work. And I think blending those things sound really easy. I've just said like you just do this, but it's definitely not easy, right? It's intentional and it takes time and it takes energy and it takes effort and it takes everybody kind of doing it, and it's a huge burden to kind of build this company and this culture in a way to do that. But
Mhm.
I think that's where it kind of those two things have to come together for it to feel right at work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I think the irony of this moment, of this situation, of this trend of quiet quitting and quiet everything is like it's this feeling of I can take control in this situation, but actually being a victim of your circumstances, like letting yourself be a victim of your circumstances instead of recognizing that you have a choice and it doesn't have to be what you're doing. It doesn't have to be quiet quitting. You could just quit. And maybe that's maybe that's a maybe that's a privileged perspective. I don't know. You could just quit, or you could actually have a conversation with people. If it's not, if the vacation policy is not aligned with like what you need in your life and you feel like there's not good balance for you in that moment, or if you feel like you're slowly burning out and you don't have the support of a leader in that to say like, hey, let's help talk through what's behind that, or whatever else it may be. I think that like that might be a bigger question for you to ask of yourself, to say like, are you in the right place? And have you had the right questions? I think we're a little bit fearful just to go have those conversations. And I wonder like what's at stake if you have the conversation and what's at stake if you don't? Is it really as bad as you think it might be, or are we just afraid to go address the things that are causing us to have to kind of go behind the backs of our organization to try to pursue a life that feels better, but I don't think is actually going to get you the results that you want it to get. So so that would be my 2 cents on that.
I love that. And I love the concept that like quiet just leads to unhappy, right? And it's sort of that there no one's a mind reader. If you're not saying something, I can't fix it, right? So if you're quiet about it, no one's going to help you get out of it. No one's going to help you fix it. No one's going to recognize it, right? So maybe don't be so quiet or choose a different path because the quiet is just this sad counterpart to like
Yeah.
healthy conflict or healthy interaction.
That's so good. I was thinking the same thing. Quiet does not mean the same as silent, and silent does not mean empty or nothing. There's a lot of thoughts happening in quiet quitting or quiet firing on both sides, right? If it's, I have this employee I really don't like, I want to make life miserable for them so that they just leave. Oh, that's terrible. That probably leads to quiet quitting around you, right? So, as an organization, too, how you respond to, for the leaders listening, to the person who comes and says, this is where I'm struggling, or this is what I'm trying to figure out, or maybe they don't have all the answers either, but your response to them then also really shapes a lot. And I think if you have, as my grandma would say, if you have two bumps on a log talking, not a lot's going to get done. So if you're a disengaged leader and you have a disengaged employee come to you and say, hey, I don't know how to do this and what's up, maybe you don't even have all the right answers. But I would acknowledge that and lean into that because, to our point, I think what you both said preached so well. There's things people need, which lead to alignment to also take your organization somewhere and ask the questions. That's the first step.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm sure there's a lot more that we could cover with this and unpack. I think this is a big topic and people are feeling the weight of it. We were all kind of just talking about it. We see it all the time. We've seen it a lot this year within different cultures of organizations that we've worked in, where it's just people kind of, yeah, kind of quietly struggling with some of these topics and trying to figure out how do we maneuver through these things? How do we make changes within our organizations? And how do we hold people accountable, like on both sides of it, right? And so it's not an easy, straightforward topic, but I do kind of think if we use some of our terminology of this, I do feel like it's kind of a change window for the workforce, at least in the United States. I think we are moving into a little bit of a difference. There's probably going to be some changes, I think, in how our workplaces look and are structured as we see boomers exit the workforce, and as more millennials enter leadership positions, as Gen Z continues to enter into the workforce. That I think as we're trying to figure out how do we approach some of these changes and how do we look at how we want work to fit into our lives and the priority that it is, I do see that this is sort of a change window for us over the next, 5 to 10 years, I would say. But that's me. I'm not an economist.
Me either. Me either. Well, and I do think we were talking about this a little bit before. I do think that something happened with COVID, and now we're kind of the pendulum just swings really far. I think we did a podcast about the pendulum and like when employers have the upper hand and when employees have the upper hand, and how like just that thinking is
Yeah.
unproductive. And now we're kind of swinging to the employers having the upper hand again because of the economy, because of return to work, whatever you want to call it. But like maybe that's not healthy. Maybe there should be a discussion about what this new environment should look like and feel like and how we integrate it well into the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So,
Well,
well, if you have thoughts on this, we would love to hear them. It's an interesting conversation. If you disagree with us too, if you're like, I think quiet quitting is great. Power to the people. Let's do more of that, then tell us that too, because I think I would love to hear your perspective on that. And so, anyways, if you have thoughts and you want to share those with us, listen to our outro here and you can find out how to get in touch with us. But thanks for taking time and listening to the People Centric podcast. We always enjoy these conversations. We love getting to talk to each other as a team, and sharing our thoughts and the things that we're learning with you too. So we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to the People Centered podcast. We are so grateful for you joining us every week. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Also, feel free to share on your social media with everyone that you know. It really does help us. If you would like to contact us, I have put our information in the show notes. Please reach out anytime. We love hearing from you. We will be back next week with a new topic. Until then, be well and lead well.